So, let's start with the administrative things. We have an exit over here in the backside, the exit you came in. The way I always tell people is if there is an emergency, Ron will be the first one out, just follow him, okay? That's the way we do this. There is a generator in case we need it. I don't think we will tonight. When we get to public comment period, I will be turning on the microphones that are in the ceilings for you guys. Remember, anything you say will be recorded on YouTube forever. Okay? So just any sidebar conversations that you want in the record, go ahead and have them. We'll record them for you. Okay? Other than that, we'll be holding the meeting in accordance with the rules and procedures that we established earlier this year. Okay, with that, the first item up is the approval of the planning board minutes from August 5th. Anyone have any changes, corrections? Okay, do I have a motion to approve those meeting minutes? Moved by Regina, seconded by Doug. Any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. One abstention. Adrian wasn't here. Okay, legal notices were published appropriately. First item up is, we'll do both of them, PB 2025-0501 and 2025-0502, New Energy Equity Lindfish Solar Project. Preliminary site plan, special use permit, and our approach tonight would be to take any additional public comments relating to the environment specifically, because that's what we're going to hopefully get through tonight and do the environmental record and go from there. So do you want to, anything change since our last meetings?
Nothing at all.
Nothing's changed. Okay, Ron.
Yeah, at your last meeting, you accepted the drafts of parts 2 and 3 of the full environmental assessment form.
Yes, we did.
And you also had a draft resolution for determination under seeker.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that resolution provided for an additional period of time for public comment. The town clerk, the town development office, or I received no public written comments.
Okay.
So I have every reason to believe that we're ready to act on that tonight.
Okay. All right, Paula?
I'm all set.
Lance?
I don't have anything additional to.
Ryder?
No.
Conservation?
Nope.
Okay, we'll go through this the same way we always do. Try to keep your comments, if at all, focused on the environment tonight, and keep them as short as possible by giving us information, facts, and data. So with that, if you're gonna talk to us, you need to stand up if you can and tell us your name and address and tell us what you need to talk. So who would like to speak for or against this application on the environmental record tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Williamson, 4414 Melting Road.
Mm-hmm.
There's a discrepancy with the easement, the agricultural easement, whether it was site plan or environmental. But when I talked to Mr. Brand the other day, he said it was open public hearing, a continued public hearing.
It is.
So I have a comment on Mr. Clark's letter to Mr. Brand dated August 11th. Requesting a meeting with the Agricultural Advisory Committee concerning the agricultural easement.
Yes.
And it appears that that meeting will take place August 27th. He's asking for only 13.3 acres. In the town code, it says it has to be for the same amount as the entire solar project, which depending on what map you look at in the plan, ranges anywhere from 20 to 23 acres. Can someone clarify that for me?
Ron, can you clarify that?
That's a code officer interpretation.
Okay, code officer interpretation.
I'll have to research that.
Okay, we'll have to research that. The easement will be appropriate and in proper amount of space. Do you happen to know why the difference in the size?
So the interpretation was that the easement covered the acreage we took up that were soils 1 through 4. MSG soils 1 through 4.
Okay.
13.33 acres. The soil group 1 through 4 that we took up with the project. The rest of that project is soils that do not classify as prime soils.
Okay, so it has to do with prime farmland versus, for lack of better words, non-prime farmland. Okay, so that seems to be the determination by code and by we have an agricultural, a soils map that shows that, so that's how they did that, so.
I thought, like it's an entire project is 1 through 4 soils.
We have.
Well, staff will certainly verify that and make sure before that meeting, we'll make sure it's done before that meeting. Yep, we'll take care of that. Right, code people? Thank you. Okay, who else would like to speak for or against or have any comments environmentally on this project? It is a public hearing, and even though I would prefer to keep it on environmental, you can certainly give us any other information that you want. Next step would be getting into the special use permit and which would be next, and then the preliminary site plan, which would be either after it or in conjunction with it. Any comments?
Do we have the mic on for that?
I do have that mic on, Bob.
Just someone online said that they can't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Did you hear the last part of it? Whoever had the comment, did you hear the last part of that conversation? Because I did turn it on.
It sounds like they're having difficulty here in the audience.
Well, I will turn up the volume a little bit and then get away from the microphone. I don't need the mic personally. Okay, we'll try that again for any future. Anybody else have any comments on this project in the room? Okay, online, anybody online like to speak for or against this application? Anyone online like to speak for or against this application? Okay, with that, we'll go to our resolutions that we have created. We have 2 resolutions. One is the seeker determination of non-significance. This is a resolution that was posted so that you guys could get a chance to look at that. We wanted to make sure everyone got a chance to make sure. That's why I held it over an extra meeting so that no one could say we tried to hide anything or do anything too quickly. We take our job here very seriously. So, we have a resolution here for determination of non-significance for this project. We have conditions or further resolve that of all of the items that are there. I would guess I would ask if the audience would like me to read that, the specific issues, or are you okay with what you saw online? Sure.
No, I think everything that I saw online was, according to the seeker
Yep,
applications and everything. The US Fish and Wildlife was a little confusing, but I think that just goes under federal
yes,
jurisdiction from what I can see.
okay, thank you. So given I didn't have anybody begging me to read a page and a half of document, I'll ask the board if you guys have any comments or questions going forward. Okay, then do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve the seeker determination of non-significance for 25-501, 25-502? Motion by Tim, seconded by Adrian. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
DeLucia. Aye. Doug Beats. Aye. Gina Souza. Adrian Bell. Aye. And Henry.
Aye. Okay, so the environmental record has been completed. I will sign that tonight at the end of the meeting. And now we get into the preliminary site plan and special use permit, and our resolution just says we're gonna continue it till the 2nd of September, and then we'll get down into the meat stuff on that one there and get those things rolling. And our goal is always to get as much public comment as we can. but at the same time, move things along as quickly as makes sense, okay? So, did anyone want to make any other, since this is a public hearing, just want to make sure, anyone want to make any comments on any of that? Okay, do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve this resolution to continue the public hearing to September 2nd? Moved by Regina, seconded by Doug. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Doug Beach. Aye. Gina Souza. Adrian Bell. Aye.
Aye. Okay, that completes that for this meeting. We'll see everybody back on the 2nd of September. Okay, next item up is PB 2026-0503, North American Sales and Rental, County Road 41. Revised preliminary site plan for a proposed warehouse. Oh, I did skip that. Never mind. Time out. I skipped right over Adrian. Adrian, go ahead and go down into the audience somewhere. You can start right up there and tell us a little bit about what's changed, what's going on. I know you've provided us some information.
Yeah, the last meeting I called in on, you guys were asking for information from an engineer and we could bring a picture or whatever, but about screening or something.
Uh-huh. So submit revised application, and which you've done.
There's something about the
Landscaping.
landscaping plan that I submitted before that I thought was already approved or whatever, but there was still stuff missing off of it.
Yeah, the seeker required, if I'm not mistaken, you to do some berming and plantings with berms. So because of that, we needed a landscaping plan for that. So that we can get it through, since that's what was on the seeker, and get it over to the ZBA.
I did not ever receive that. So, didn't have-
The seeker? You didn't receive the
I
seeker?
received it, but not on my paper. So
Seeker part
In part three.
2 and 3.
Part 3 had it in there that it required.
Not what they sent to me, so that's why when you brought it up at the last meeting on the resolution, it caught me off guard because it wasn't in my packet from the town.
Okay. Ron, can you make sure he gets a copy of that, or?
But I also think we talked about the berms before, that it was gonna be a.
Right, but then it ended up in the seeker, and once we approve seeker, that's where it is. Unless we go through and redo seeker it completely. We can just show the berms, and then we can figure out, once you get through the ZBA, what we're gonna finally do. What am I trying to say, Ron?
What you're trying to say is that there was a condition negative declaration of non-significance issued, with the condition being a berm and plantings along two sides of the proposed accessory structure. We haven't seen that.
But I thought that's also the one planning board meeting, they wanted me to do more screening up towards the top of the property for the other neighbors in County Road 8 that I showed and that was accepted and okay, so.
That was in advance of the determination being made by by the planning board under seeker. And why you didn't get a copy of part 3 is beyond me.
Page of it and it doesn't say anything like that.
Well, you don't have the whole thing then. I know what John showed me had it all. So how
Who needs to get him part 3? Paula
Paula
or
can,
John?
John can provide it. Can you send him a copy of part 3?
Okay, you'll get part 3.
So if I show the burn, it's not, it might not be necessary, right? Or will,
Depends on what the changes are and what changes the ZBA does, if any.
this is the contour and stuff, I just don't think it's gonna be feasible to do anything for
Get it out in the thing, so we have that landscaping plan, we'll get it over to ZBA, we'll figure out what they end up doing with it. And then we'll figure out what needs to be done in the end. We got it, since it's in the seeker, it's gotta be done. We can't turn around and just say, nah, yeah, we'll go ahead and do this and then not have you do what was in the seeker specifically required. Because it was a mitigation factor in seeker. But has to be complied with before we can move it on to the ZBA. It just needs to show some burning on the drawing.
That was on the west and north.
Correct.
Okay, there you go. West and north. I think it was 3 foot
Berm
Berm
and then
with
plant
plantings on top.
5 foot on top of that.
Yep,
And you said it'd be 5 foot?
plantings are 5 foot, yeah. I think that's what was in there specifically. Yep,
Yeah, so I guess till we see that paperwork that I never received.
okay, we'll make sure you get that. John's gonna make sure you get that tomorrow. And with that, we'll lay this over till the next meeting, since we don't have that, or do we complete the resolution is because we're still waiting on one thing and that just ties everything up?
It just ties everything up and you need that. What does the resolution say?
A resolution says we still have one outstanding item of landscaping, and once that's done, we can move forward.
And the time extension is to, this is a public hearing, so it's a
It
10.
is a public hearing. September 2nd, if you get it done that quickly, yep. Okay,
So,
this is a public hearing, I just wanna make sure we're all on the same sheet of music.
he asked for me to bring my engineer to discuss this too, so I
I
have
understand.
questions for him, but.
I understand.
that was-
Okay,
That was just last meeting's problems, right?
yeah. Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience or want to speak for or against this application? Anyone online like to speak for or against this application? Okay, with that, you're okay, we'll approve this resolution that was presented with the red lines and stuff on it. You saw this one, right?
I believe so. That-
And it just says some of this has been done, some of it hasn't,
And we're continuing to September.
and we're continuing to September 2nd, and we're waiting for the landscape plan. Okay? With that, anybody on the board have any additional comments? Motion to waive the reading and approve that resolution with all the red marks on it? Moved by Doug, seconded by Virginia. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Alicia. Aye. Doug Beat. Aye. Gina Souza. Aye. Adrian Bellis.
No, not Adrian Bell.
I'm just gonna say it, you can take all my money.
Yeah, I'll say yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Adrian. You can come back up. Now we do the rental, North American Rental, County Road 41, preliminary site plan for warehouse flex building, PB 2026-503. Who's here for that one? Anybody online
Jake,
here for that?
yeah, Jake Calabrese with Marathon Engineering. How are we doing tonight?
Hey, Jake, how you doing?
Not too bad. Yeah, so we've been working with Lance in the town to just kind of square up mainly the SWIP. We have sent over a new SWIP, sorry, I can't see if Lance is there, but correct me if I'm wrong. We're good for preliminary, and they're going to review the newly updated plans and SWIP when we submit for our final, pending obviously tonight's vote.
Okay. Ron?
Yeah, they're still working on the details of where to connect the water from, whether it's County Road 41 or some other means off from Pintail. But that's something that has to be resolved before final approval can be given by this board. But recognizing that in the resolution, you might want to ask if he has any questions about the contents of that.
Yeah, you got a chance to review the resolution with conditions?
Yes, for tonight's meeting, the one dated the 19th. Yep, we have actually already updated, let's see, I got my notes here, all actually, yeah, and we just got our new lighting planned in, so all of those are going to be reflected on the final submission.
Perfect.
Yeah, so none of those were difficult to update.
Okay. And we try not to make it too difficult.
Well, believe me,
Ron,
we appreciate it.
Good. Ron, anything else?
No, I don't have anything.
Paula? Lance?
No, just as mentioned and as discussed, we've been working with the engineer on this. Our preliminary comments have been addressed. We don't have any objection to the board moving forward tonight as discussed.
Cool. Fire,
No.
conservation.
No.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Everybody in the audience want to speak for or against this application? Anybody online like to speak for or against this application? I don't seem to see anybody objecting on board. Anybody have any comments, questions? Good. Have a motion to waive the reading and approve this resolution with conditions that the applicant has agreed to.
Right, Tim.
Motion by Tim, second by
Adrian?
Adrian. Any other comment? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Lucia.
Aye.
Doug Beats. Aye. Regina Susan. Aye. Adrian Velez. Aye. Ed Evans.
Hi. Okay, you're good to go.
Appreciate it. Have a great night, everyone.
Work with staff and you'll get it through quickly.
Always do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item up is a new public hearing.
North American Sales.
That was, yes.
Acceptance of the drafts of parts 2 and 3, the full environmental assessment.
Is that needed?
August 19th.
That's a separate resolution that you have to do that.
Yeah, I didn't print that on.
I thought you did that
Thought we had already done that.
August 5th.
Hey, did we already done seeker? You know?
Yeah, I believe that's what Matt attended. I think it was August 5th. I believe that was to take care of seeker, and then this one was to get to
Yeah,
preliminary
I didn't print
approval.
anything out this time,
No,
John.
My notes suggest that it was done August 5th.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's very important. Okay, thank you, John, for checking anyway. If you got a question, that's what I want to hear. Okay. Next item up is Dimension Energy, 2026-501, 2026-502. How we got both you guys, the 25-501 and the 26-501, both being solar, it's like staff's working overtime to confuse me. So come on up, tell us a little bit. I think you got a presentation for us. Just want to kind of get the highlights of what's happening, and then we go forward with some seeker stuff, right?
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good evening, everyone.
Mhm.
My name is Jacob Epstein. I'm the project manager of Farmington, New York CSG1 LLC. Basically, we're here tonight to review in pretty high level detail what exactly we are proposing. So I have put together a small presentation deck. It will be brought up on screen momentarily, so we can kind of talk through what exactly it is we're proposing. Thank you very much, Ms. Griffin. So, as I said, I'm here representing solar developer Dimension Energy. We are a nationwide leading developer, owner, and operator of distributed generation assets and infrastructure. Basically working on kind of smaller sized commercial facilities that are designed to be sited, developed, and deployed pretty rapidly. We've developed over 1 gigawatt of total capacity in the total time that we've been around. And about $2 billion and 600 megawatts of that total capacity is currently operating or under construction. These projects that are in operation serve more than 35,000 customers around the country, delivering reduced energy prices on a monthly basis. We are backed by Partners Group, which is a global private equity fund with over $185 billion in assets under management. Next slide, please. So a little bit about community solar, which is exactly what this project is currently proposed as. As currently intended, the project will be submitted to New York statewide solar for all program. This enables low to moderate income households to basically subscribe to our project for a share of the energy, and in exchange get credits on their monthly energy bills to ultimately lower the total cost burden. As said, yeah, participants under this program and subscribers to the project see these monthly discounts without the need to pay for or go through the stress and risk of putting solar panels on their own roof. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the project. We're currently proposed at 5601 New York 96. This is a parcel that is currently in the limited industrial zoning district. It will be about 3.6 megawatts of alternating current in size, and will occupy just under 18 acres of a total parcel that is about 50 acres in size. Historic uses of this property are largely industrial in nature. Haven't really seen or found any evidence of ag activity. As mentioned before, the project will be participating in this program that will enable subscribers to see monthly discounts on their bills. And as you can see on the site plan here, the project is situated towards the back end of the parcel. So we're well out of viewing range of New York 96. And then off map further to the south, I believe that's County Road 80?
41,
48?
41.
41, sorry about that. And we, as part of
Back road, A's part of the road.
To the east.
Right, he's
well,
between
regardless,
49.
we are proposing to install some vegetative screening around the perimeter, so there will be some tree clearing involved with the construction of this project, but just to kind of ensure fully that, it's protected for people and drivers are protected views, the plan is to install some screening on there. So basically what we are here tonight to propose or seek is, kicking off this formal planning board process, ultimately leading to the declaration of intent to serve as an agency, getting that negative declaration, and working closely with the town staff to ensure that this project is developed and approved properly. Next slide, please. Here's the larger blown up site plan. I believe that physical copies have been submitted as part of this application and are available for viewing here at the town hall. Slide. Talking a little bit about code compliance. Project so far, as intended, is designed in full compliance with town code requirements. As you can see, we meet all of the district's various spatial and bulk requirements. And as you can see from the screenshot of the zoning map as well, the parcel in question is pretty well insulated from nearby agricultural and residential uses. We're completely surrounded by general business and other limited industrial uses. So I think that the proposed project, in my opinion, at least, it's the character of the immediately surrounding area pretty nicely. Next slide, please. Another aspect of the code compliance that I would like to highlight is that the project does not fall in any agricultural districts either recognized by the county or the town of Farmington. As outlined in 2021 comprehensive plan, the town should be able to participate in programs to expand sustainable energy without impacting sensitive agricultural lands and soils. And I'm quite pleased to say that this project meets the letter of that criteria. Next slide, please. Digging a little bit more into the lab, you can see here that we performed a wetland delineation. Our environmental consultant, Brian Baer, with CNS Engineers, is here. They identified a couple features to the north of the parcel that are scattered throughout, and then there's this large DEC jurisdiction here at the center. As designed, all aspects of this project are going to maintain a 101-foot buffer from that DEC wetland. Project will be enclosed by an 8-foot high fixed mount woven wire security fence. Double swing main entry gates located at major ingress and egress points, which involve or entail rather one main access gate up here. And then following consultation with the previous fire marshal, August Gordner, we've implemented man gates along each side of the fence to enable rapid ingress and egress of personnel, as well as implement this kind of perimeter access road should the need arise. Site will be accessed primarily by the suspension of gravel that will obstruct it off the site's completing existing driveway. Following previous consultation with the town during various project review committee meetings, it is our understanding That the current condition of this road is questionable. And so following the failure to make contact with the neighbors to secure alternate access easements, Dimension Company has committed to, working with the town to improve that existing driveway and bring it up to, industrial spec. And I believe that the information is provided by Mr. Lloyd. So we have that in hand, and we'll be working with our EC partner as well as our civil engineer to ensure that work is done accurately. Slide, please. In terms of interconnection, the project is seeking to tie into existing overhead lines that currently run along Route 96. These are maintained by RG&E. We have submitted our interconnection application to them, and the study process is currently underway. Any upgrade costs that are associated with the project tying in will be borne entirely by the company, so those costs will not be passed down to local consumers or ratepayers. New equipment on site will consist of a couple of ground utility poles, but otherwise, pretty much all of the electrical infrastructure on site, all wires, cabling, etc., will be buried underground in compliance with various local code requirements, except of course where it needs to come above ground to tie into those. We are not currently proposing any permanent lighting to be part of this facility, so we're not worried about any, after hours glare impacts or anything of that sort. And I think that roughly covers this. So you can just want to please. In terms of a rough estimated timeline for how we expect this will unfold through mid to late 2026, which we're working through our environmental preliminary engineering as well as public hearings, anticipating our utility study completion to happen over the next couple weeks or months. Site preparation, pre-construction activities will probably take place next year, along with engineering, pulling the building permit, as well as procuring some equipment. And then mid to late 2027, possibly into early 2028, that project will be finished with its construction and reach commercial operation. And I believe that brings me to the end of the presentation. So thank you all for your time and attention. And
Just to go on the record, any battery storage on this project?
no battery storage.
Okay, just always want to ask that question, make sure it gets on the record. Okay, we'll turn it over to staff. Ron?
Yeah, they have been before the project review committee on a couple of, at least two, if not three occasions,
Okay,
going through this exercise. And they have addressed the concerns about the access road being built to town standards, which we look forward to seeing. And then the other part of it is the clarification on where you stand with the GEC on your wetland impact. What have you heard from them?
So we submitted a joint application for permits with the CA and the Army Corps. The last time I checked, those permits are still in process.
Okay, and they may cause you to have to continue your evaluations of the parts 2 and 3 until you get that response.
okay.
I'll use myself as my consultant engineer here. I will also add to that the certification determination process is complete.
Oh, good.
So they have site.
And you'll submit some kind of documentation to that effect.
Yeah, we have the letter. Right?
Good.
Very good. That's
Yeah.
the other thing that was of concern, and I don't mean to speak for Ken from the fire department down here, was making sure that you coordinate with them on the accessibility of the turns and access points into and around that solar operation. And as far as that goes, also the training that you provide, just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yep, absolutely. If that information is not already included with the emergency preparedness plan, it certainly will be, and we can resubmit that.
Okay. That's all I have tonight.
And tonight we have two resolutions. The first one would be the acceptance of draft part 2 and 3 of the full environmental assessment forms. And then the second one would be the continuation, correct?
Yeah, you just clarifying, just because you accept it doesn't mean that you approve it.
Right.
Okay, it means that you have received information based on what's available.
Okay.
Since we get that DEC clarification, that will help you write the part 3.
Perfect. Okay, Paula,
I have nothing additional.
Lance,
No, for the environmental purposes, obviously the DEC and the federal agencies review of the wetlands is a big component of this. One of the items that we mentioned early on was a secondary access point, but possibly due to the length of that entrance road.
Yeah,
I'm just curious to know if we gotten any farther with communications with the neighboring properties to utilize their existing impervious access pavement, their driveway access points, to at least provide the ability for emergency vehicles to access the site from the south or from the east?
Yeah, so unfortunately today, we have not really gotten any traction with any neighbors. I know that the original suggestion was to go to Iron Mountain. We did on
Yes.
the parcel adjacent east.
Right.
They've basically ghosted us after a period of, multiple months, multiple rounds of outreach. Thinking of possible alternatives, we decided to also approach two neighbors adjacent south. I believe that would be Van Pelt and Minitech. Both of those parties as well have either not really gotten back to us or have expressed their disinterest in allowing us to do that.
It's definitely something that will probably come up during the review process. So anything we can do to try to provide at least an option for additional access to the site without having to transverse through that very long driveway to the end there would be beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely.
anything else, Lance?
So that's it. Thank you.
Fire,
Yeah, that is a very long driveway. It's gonna be able to hold at least a 20-ton truck, if not more. Wider the better, because grass trucks are small. But if we need to get in there, we need to take water with us. And there's water is gonna be in 96, so it's gonna be a long way. Having a second access, like Lance was saying, is definitely something you've gotta get. Because if we need to get in the back, or we have other departments coming in with equipment coming in from different directions, we need to get them in. Coming in that long driveway, we're gonna box everybody in, which it's gonna be quicker to put or take longer to put a grass fire out. Cause I think that's the only thing you're gonna have back there, probably is grass fires, unless something else happens that unforeseen. That's the only thing I'm worried about is covering all that area for a grass fire. So a second access is something you really gotta get, even if it's a crash bar off somebody's property we can just get into. I mean, some way we can get in. I mean, that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Comments certainly acknowledged, and I can circle back with my colleagues on our real estate teams to continue pushing on getting one of those access easements.
I hate to put this on the rest of the staff, but maybe we should ask the supervisor down board if they could talk to some of those neighbors and see if they might be able to help.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it doing that, as long as I have a copy of documentation where you've reached out to these property owners in the past.
Yeah, that I can certainly
And
find.
get that to us, and then we can push some of the other folks in the staff. Okay, conservation.
We looked at this project. The only thing I remember, one of the engineers on our teams questioned the need for the road all the way around, the impervious road all the way around. And you're thinking that's for emergency access?
Yeah, that's correct.
And that was a town suggestion.
That was the
Town requirement.
request. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Yep. Okay, this is a public hearing. Do I have anybody here to speak for or against this application? Have any questions? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Good evening, David Cooper, 5650 County Road 41.
Asking me the questions and I'll take care of it from there.
Sure. I'm wondering if this is a project button up to our property on the south end.
Don't think it goes that far down.
Sounds like it goes right up to it. Is this north of Service Steel? Is this north of Minitech?
Yes,
Is this north
North
of
of Tech, and it's east of, what's that, Power, whatever?
Oh, it's east of
It's
Power.
east of the Power.
Power's Energy or.
Power, yeah, it's east of that, so I think that's far enough east from you, yes. Yeah, and there's no battery storage on there,
And they're planning on taking out all that woods in the back there?
and wherever they're planting, putting the stuff, yeah,
Yeah, that's correct.
yeah.
Right.
Okay,
So all my questions.
thank you. Anyone else like to speak for or against this application? Anybody online like to speak for or against this application? Okay, board, any comments or questions on this project? Not at this time. Okay. So the first resolution I have is preliminary site plan and special use acceptance of the drafts part 2 and 3 of the full environmental assessment form. Pretty basic. Do I have a motion to waive reading and approve that resolution as presented? Moved by Regina, seconded by Adrian. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Lucia.
Aye.
Doug Beats. Regina Susan, Adrian Velez. And Heminger.
Aye. Okay, now the second one is the continuation of the public hearing. Anything special? We're gonna just continue it to the 2nd of September when we, well, we can't really do part 2 and 3 yet because we don't have the stuff from DEC.
That's correct.
Okay,
As soon as we-
so we're just on kind of hold, but we'll continue it out to the 2nd of September. Or do you want to kick it out farther than that? Wait and get all the information.
Should be able to get the information by the second.
Perfect. Okay, so I've got a motion to waive the reading and approve this resolution to move the continuation to September 2nd. Moved by Doug, seconded by Regina. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Lucia. Doug Beats. Regina Susan. Adrian Velez. And Heminger.
Aye. Okay. See you on the 2nd.
Very much.
Okay, next item up is PB 2026-0708. This is the Finger Lakes Credit Union, State Route 332 and Farmbrook Drive. Come on up, tell us what's going on.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Gerald.
Good evening.
Evening.
I've been Gonzalez with Passage Engineering, Bob McFadden, here in this community bank. We're here for preliminary approval tonight. The project is 1.07 acre parcel, that was subdivided out as part of the overall development of the dental office. People looking a roughly 3,800 square foot banking facility, which will have a community room, a small coffee area, 2 drive up lanes with bypass, 19 parking spots with 1 ADA compliant parking space per code. Some of the site amenities, we added the sidewalk along 332. We extended the sidewalk around Farmington Drive to make the connection. For 332 to the site building, with bike rack, flagpole, the lighting, a lot of the lighting currently on the main drive, which was all in phase 1. There is currently an 8-foot fence that runs the property line on the east with now they're getting larger green tree plantings to create that buffer. We're proposing trees landscape along Farmbrook. Our stormwater retention area is located along Route 332, as depicted and shown in the original SWIP. We'll also use that as a landscape feature. It's kind of a aesthetic look.
Okay.
Utilities are all stubbed, basically within the property. So we'll just be making those connections.
About it?
Yeah, we did receive comments from MRB.
Okay.
We responded to the comments, and SWIFT.
Okay.
To receive the comments for conditions of resolution.
Okay, you're okay with the resolutions?
Yes, there was a couple of questions.
Okay.
So we can go on the road. We should do. Yeah.
There was a comment about having 2 handicap parking spots.
But then over.
New York City.
Truck past
compliance is 1/20.
Paul, what about the two slots? Or Ron, when,
Yeah, in looking at the number of parking spaces you have, you're limiting yourself to customers who are physically impaired to one spot. And if that one spot happens to be taken up by somebody coming into the bank and having coffee and sitting there for a while, you're jeopardizing that. I'd like you to consider designing a second spot so that it is more accessible.
sounds reasonable.
Yes, so number 3 would be this concrete sidewalk connecting to the proposed sidewalk along the south side of Farmington Drive, connecting to the entrance to the bank. Is that asking to add a connection to the front of the building?
Yes. Avoid people coming to your bank from Farmbrook, walking down the drive-in aisle or the exit aisle coming out.
Make sense that?
Yep.
Okay,
Street lighting that was requested, I was assuming in this corner.
Yes, we want to be able to do two things up there with the street lighting. Number one is to show the connection to Farmbrook Drive better than it is now. And number two, show where the end of the sidewalk is,
Mhm.
so that people know that something's going on there.
okay. Anything else?
Stop sign that is not currently there, that is sold by the town.
The town will put it in, it's a private drive, but you'll be providing it.
I think that was.
Okay, Ron, anything?
No, I'm glad to hear that we're moving along here.
Yeah, I'd like to fill that in. Paula,
I don't have anything additional at this time.
Lance?
Yeah, MRB Group issued a comment letter dated August 10th. We've received the responses to them. I've gone through all the responses. I haven't had a chance to review the revised plan set yet, but it appears as all of our comments are being addressed. There was no objection to any of the comments. Stormwater was done initially as part of the overall project. We're just double checking some of the calcs to make sure there wasn't any nuances that we have to be aware of. A stormwater maintenance agreement will be provided as part of this project and documented as an MS4 community. So we're good otherwise.
Thank you. Fire?
I'd love to see a second exit out of that parking lot into the dentist office parking lot, because with that overhang, trucks don't like overhangs. A 12-foot truck going underneath probably a 9-foot overhang won't work. Because if we have smoke rolling off to the north because of the wind, we got to come in the south side of that building.
Sure.
So having a driveway out of your parking lot into the dentist office would be great, but I know it may not work.
Yeah. So it's tough to kind of see what, there's more than the 9.5 feet that we had labeled on there, because the overhang doesn't go to the edge of the concrete. I don't have the exact dimension on that, but I know it is wider than that 9.5 feet. But there is also, we could probably, we could definitely widen this bypass lane to create that extra space.
That would be okay.
Yes.
And the curb coming into your parking lot, will that make a 47-foot turn for our truck?
I think so, and I can run that truck and put that on the final plan.
Because our ladder needs at least 47 foot to make a turn. And if we got cars coming out and as we're going in, we don't have the clearance, we don't go anywhere.
Sure.
Other than that, that's kind of all I have.
Okay, conservation?
I don't think we have anything. I don't.
Okay. This is a public meeting action item. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to comment? Anyone online like to comment? Okay, with that, board. Everybody have any comments? Anybody? Okay, we've got two resolutions. The first one, make sure I got the right one, is the secret determination of non-significance, correct? Okay, we've got a resolution for secret determination of non-significance. Do I have a motion to waive reading and approve that resolution as presented? Motion by Tim, seconded by Doug. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Beat. Regina Souza. Adrian Bell.
Aye. You guys know that's all on YouTube for life over there, right? Okay, Lance,
I'm sorry.
all on being documented forever. Your sidebar
The
conversation.
emergency access road, I apologize.
Okay, all right. Okay, next one is preliminary site plan application. This is for approval. Grants preliminary site plan approval for the construction of proposed bank. There are conditions, 19 of them. Do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve this resolution with condition? Moved by Regina, seconded by Adrian. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
DeLucia.
Aye.
Doug Beat. Regina Souza. Adrian Bell. And Henry Gear.
Aye. All right, guys, thank you very much. Welcome to the neighborhood. Get that, work with staff, get that in, and then get the final in, and we'll be good to go.
Thank you.
Next item up, PB 2026-0702, Rusted Paving. This is a public meeting action item.
Good evening, my name's Brendan Marks.
Brendan, how you doing?
Good, good. Representing, Robson Pavement, maybe. The application here tonight is for the additions to the existing building, totaling about 3,800 square feet. Also adding some, additional equipment area and parking areas to the rear of the building, totaling about 27,000 square feet.
Okay, Ron?
Yeah, couple of things here. One is that we are seeking a easement to satisfy the zoning board of appeals condition across what is the frontage access off from the abandoned portion of Mertensia.
Okay,
That's to allow for future sidewalk connection with the sidewalks that have been constructed and that are being constructed over there on Gateway Drive, with the abandonment of the railroad that's being voiced more seriously. Secondly, Brennan, where do we stand with the need for having to sprinkle this building as far as the size of the building?
As far as I understand, there's no sprinklers required at this time.
Okay.
With the additions.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll make sure the fire marshal takes the verification of that.
I didn't have anything from the fire marshal. He was on vacation.
Anything else?
No.
Paula?
I'll follow up with fire marshal just to verify.
Thank you very much. Lance?
MRB Group did issue a comment letter. I don't think there was any substantial items there, Brennan, that we've identified. I think it was pretty straightforward. Unless the board or anybody has any questions on it, I'm good. Otherwise, move forward.
Comments, so I have no addition or no objection to any comments provided. Be glad to address those. I think some of the resolutions address.
Okay, yeah, that's part of the resolution. Fire?
Is that gonna be gated where your trucks are gonna be parked?
Yes, there is a gated, it is gated now and it will continue to be gated.
Is there Knox box on there?
We will, that was also Lance's comments too. We will, if the fire department would like, we would have a Knox box.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's just a piece of equipment is on fire, we can't get to it.
Especially paving equipment.
You got it.
Yeah, so we can add a Knox box to that.
Thank you.
Good. Conservation?
Nothing.
Again, anyone like to have any comments? Anybody online? I didn't think so. We'll go down. Tim? Doug?
Questions, with the
with that, the parking and outside storage area, what's happening with all the piles that are out there currently? You know, east of where the limit of pavement show there, is that all gonna get cleaned up? And go
Yeah,
away?
there is some piles here, where the parking is proposed, those will get cleaned up.
The ones that I'm talking about are further east.
Further, right, or the asphalt rubble or something like that.
Yeah, there's some buildings out there, there's some stone.
Yep.
That's being used to store new materials like that kind of reduces, look at trigger a special use permit. Now you're storing outdoor materials that go with that business, so.
If it is the case, I would, if there is no, previous permits for that, then we would ask the Russ to review that.
Something we'll have to look to see if there's any special use permit for outside storage.
Yeah, and then I guess just moving forward, this before that.
And then you can ask the applicant.
Yeah.
Now, if they're gonna continue to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a good, then
Yep.
use permit.
So, if you guys want to move forward with the additions, I'm happy to say that if it was not a permissible use, that it'd be removed.
So it's something we can look at.
Let's make sure that they want it, and we can make that determination.
Yeah.
As this is preliminary, we can always tidy that up on
Yeah,
file,
that's what I was trying to think.
Okay.
you know.
Fine, I think about like, elevations. So,
Okay.
That's looking like, and even then, I guess one of the comments I saw. Gates on equipment in there, how are we gonna deal with that? Software, so.
Oil water separator.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll address that.
Yeah. Final, I don't. Okay, but.
Yep.
Finalize.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Adrian?
I was just gonna say, I didn't see any renderings either.
Yeah, we'll need that.
Similar to what's there.
We do have them, so I will make sure you guys get them.
Yep. Gina? Okay, with that, we've got a resolution with conditions. Got a motion to waive reading and approve this preliminary, let's see, we're ready, preliminary site plan with conditions. Have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Doug, second by Adrian. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Lucia.
Aye.
Doug Beats.
Aye.
Regina Souza. Adrian Velez. Ed Henry.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
good to go. Find out about that outside storage and that kind of material.
Hold it.
Okay, thank you. Cause that could be a real pain to screen. It's sitting there down in like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay, next item up is other board action, sketch plan review of rec center at Cobblestone Performing Arts. Come on up to the podium and give us a little overview of what's going on. How you doing? Good.
Oh, on which side? Oh. Lori Benson, director.
Lori?
So our center. I'm Vanessa Goodwin, assistant director at Howard.
Okay.
We've been here before.
Yep.
Didn't get as much funding as I wanted from the governor. I didn't get the 8 million I asked. So we.
Welcome to the real world. You guys see that? Go ahead.
We scaled things down. We just recently got this, the new renderings from our architect, Hanlon Architect. And, site work from the Schultz. So this is the 11 acres, this piece of pie that we own. The art center is way over to the left, and it's already existing with a rust bar and our classroom space for our students. We have 100 little, some students with developmental disabilities and 80 staff. Keep growing, which is wonderful. But we wanted to add more activities for the community, that inclusion with our students, and give them a recreational facility. So it has basketball, pickleball, volleyball on one side, turf on the other, and the locker rooms and everything in the middle. So I don't know if you need to see this. Ron, do you have any comments on this?
Oh, I will.
Oh, he's supposed to ask you.
I was gonna say, that's not a question you ever have to ask. So, yeah, you kind of told us what you're doing. I'll turn it over to Ron. Ron.
Okay, not in any particular order, but the first thing to discuss is access to 332. The state DOT has the Michigan U-turns out there,
Yeah.
and they're going to want to be very interested in seeing this concept when it goes to them for review under seeker when we get a,
Sooner the better.
yeah.
We already got approval for that.
For that,
In
Curb cut?
2014.
The curb.
yeah, different people, different.
Well, I mean, it shows it here that, we were going to try to have that access there, but we're also, coming from the existing property.
Right.
That, in the back and.
Yeah, it's gonna be important you get updated DOT approval for
Yes.
that spot there or wherever the heck they decide they want to.
Right. Yep.
Okay,
Okay, and what I'm reporting on is basically the short memo that I sent that you got copy of. The next thing is trying to separate better the movement of on-site traffic from this recreational facility across the back of your
Right.
access for your clientele to the Performing Arts Center, and to avoid congestion in that area, especially with the time when you're having loading and unloading of your buses. That's something that I asked Schultz to take a look at. We know that there's some wetlands there that are gonna come into play, and that's something that we're gonna have coordinated review with DOT and with DEC on. And the Department of Health is going to have to get involved because of the recreational facility components, for all things that we understand and know are coming along. Finally, I can't see it from here, but I think you've cleaned up the back corner there where the land was transferred from the town to Cobblestone. So that was the last comment that I had. Honestly, it's an exciting project.
yeah, it is.
It's a great looking project.
Can you flip to the rendering? The other picture. Sorry.
Yeah, we all definitely got it, so.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah, we got it sent to us. I even printed it out
Yeah.
Is this,
in color.
There.
There.
So there's parking on both sides of the
Yep.
building, access for both sides, so which is great.
Now, this is the front side of the building, correct? The one facing 332?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed because of the way the parking lot says. Yeah, it's nice looking.
Right, and so that middle part is where there's concessions and.
Yep.
The locker rooms.
Cool. Okay, anything else, Ron?
Yeah, just a brief overview of what this building is aimed to serve.
The whole community. All
Okay.
day. From 6 in the morning until 10 at night.
So that,
So the students will be involved with community members that might be coming in to take, to play basketball or pickleball, or a preschool program that wants to come in and use part of the turf. It's all inclusive, all of it.
Nice.
Yes. And we're thinking about, well, I won't tell you.
keep the surprises, huh? All right.
Paula?
I'm all set for right now.
Thanks.
Yeah, so we, as part of the original version of this that came before us, we had some thoughts. I think we talked at a PRC meeting, possibly with the town. As it relates to this, obviously a smaller version of it has some benefit still. Some of the concerns or things that you should be looking at, Ron has identified. but I think as early in the process as you guys can get with the DOT, they're gonna probably want a traffic study. So there's gonna be some big components that come out of this that are gonna be part of that environmental process. So if and when you guys are ready to proceed, any leadway that you can start with some of these agencies, same with like SHPO, the wetlands, all those anything that you can get done ahead of time helps make that the next step that much quicker for everybody. One of the big issues that was raised previously, and it's still going to be somewhat of an issue with this, is going to be sewer connection. So sewer, perfect. So just in terms of the town's concerns, connection to 332 isn't going to be something the town's going to allow. And so there may be a need to cross it across 332. That was one option. We want to get it to what is called the town's transition main. That's sized to handle all future expansion in area in this vicinity to the town. I bring that up only because it's not only your project that's going to have some generation, but the neighboring potential project behind you guys. It was also discussed with them the same need. So there may be a mutual benefit there. I'm not sure the communication paths between the two, but it may be worthwhile to look into because they have the same concerns that they're going to have to address with that project. So there is options, but gravity plays a role in this. And so crossing 332, bringing it up, it all depends on how we can make that work. There is an incentive zoning project. It's called the Hathaway Corners project to the, what is that, the east of you guys on 332, right in the corner. There is a vacant piece of land that's between the two. They have the ability to handle sewer connection as well. There's been some talk about maybe the town possibly help facilitating a potential connection there. So there's options. You're not, but we have to look at the big picture, not only with this, but with the other projects. So we want to make sure if we're solving it, there's a way to solve it for the other as well. So it may make sense to just begin that dialogue is all. Sorry, I know that was a long-winded version of it, but thank you.
King Fire,
I've been in your parking lot that you already have now with a fire truck. It's very tight. You need to have enough space in here. Like I told the other gentleman, that our ladder truck, if it has to come in there, needs 47 foot to turn. Okay. We need space between your parking spots to get around everything. Okay.
And back of the building. In the drawing.
But we also need to be able to get on all four sides. Okay. And the other entrance on this is coming out of your other parking lot.
Right.
Okay. Now, if that other parking lot is full and people are trying to get out and we're trying to get in, see our point? Okay. There's enough room around the building. That's not a problem. It's just make sure the parking is spread out enough that we can get in there and around everything.
remember too that they don't typically like, I don't believe, to park right alongside the building if there's a fire going on there.
Yeah, but the thing is, if we park behind that building and there's cars in that first row and there's not enough room, we need to be. And OSHA requires, if a building is 13 foot high and it's a 13-foot brick building, you have to go 26 foot away for a collapse on a wall. So we have to stay that far away to keep our trucks and our people safe. See my point? Okay. I'm thinking of my people.
Right. And we did talk to Pat Schultz from Schultz, and he said they talked about making sure there was a fire lane.
You need to have clearance way. So I just want to make sure, because our two chiefs will be looking at this, and I'm only seeing it now. I just want to make sure there's enough room that we can park our truck, be safe enough away to operate, okay? And having the room to maneuver around, because if that building is on fire, we're gonna have 4 3 or 4 other departments coming in, which means another 6, maybe 7 trucks besides our 7. Okay? I'm thinking of your safety, the kids' safety, okay? You know, right now it looks good. We just need to make sure there's enough room to maneuver around, that's all.
Okay, conservation,
No, I don't think we've looked at this project yet.
and it's a sketch plan, so
Yeah,
early.
early. Well, we'll probably have comments about less impervious, more trees. That's kind of the general, right, okay. The general.
Board, have any comments? Tim? No. Doug? Adrian? Virginia? I think it's really important that you work close with the fire department, because I can't put my mind in exactly what the space is there, but they need to be able to get that ladder truck in there and around and. I mean, I love the project. I think it's, Yeah,
I think it's fantastic. Something the community's needed for a long time. Okay? But just, let's make it safe. Okay, thank you for coming in, and we look forward to the official delivery of plans. Okay, thank you. You guys have a good evening. Okay, next item over on recommendation of town board draft local law for conversation.
Yeah, I sent the planning board the planning referral comments.
Mhm.
They've recommended approval of these changes to the town code. Matter of fact, they kind of gave us a very positive report. I'm looking for something back from this board, the town board, to have for the public hearing next week, that basically sets forth your concerns or recommendations on the action.
So, as everybody probably knows, I was on the committee that helped draft those changes. What was sent to you were just the changes to the code. Obviously, there's more to the code that fills in some of the questions. Doug provided me some feedback. Adrian said he's gonna have some feedback tonight. I didn't hear anything from anybody else. So I guess let me start with Doug.
Sure, yeah, I had quite a few questions and comments that I could submit.
Yep.
Ron did provide responses, and a lot of those were the confusion between that table that was listed in there and all the explanation down below. For discussions there, what it is, the table would be something that does not need to come back for us for approval. So I mean, if you can fit within that, do I say it right?
That's correct.
So, if your project would comply with the requirements in that table, does not need planning for.
Right.
So a lot of my questions or comments were, the more varied, based on the lot size that you have, that my comments were basically wired those different from what the table is. Well, that's because the table does not require a planning board action, basically. And then the relief, like if you have a larger lot size, then those other requirements written down below are the ones that you would go with. So that a lot of my comments really dealt with that. I had a few others that that I think we're kind of looking at in some cases. But I mean, overall, I think with what's in there, it's movement now over what we had, what we currently have, and it does provide more clarity. Hopefully we'll see what other comments come out, I guess. Public meetings and public hearing.
Okay. All right, Tim, you got any comments?
No, I'm okay with this.
Okay, Adrian.
So I guess I'm confused by what Doug said, because wouldn't it be going to zoning board then? More than us, I mean, we don't see.
It would trigger a site plan review though, or they would need to submit a preliminary site plan.
It could
One of the,
require that.
either a variant or a site plan.
or both.
If it was, only if you're going over what the specs are here.
Right.
If
Correct.
you're not going with the specs, you'll. Site plan.
Building
Right.
permit, correct, yeah. Yeah, and one of the comments I had was like, you know, as you have more land, you know, the requirements change. You can
Right.
have larger square footage, you have multiple accessory structures. You know,
Right.
and some of the.
Multiple. I felt like the one part said you could have only one.
It depends on your lot size, so like as you have more acreage, you can have multiples. Depends also, I think, if you already have an existing garage attached to your house. Yeah, that was one of my other kind of questions, the private garage is kind of mentioned. It could be mentioned as your private garage is attached to your.
Or not.
Or, yeah, or you have your garage attached. So I think that was one of the things that. We're gonna like the detached garage is different than a garage attached to your house.
Freestanding,
They're
yeah.
freestanding, yeah. So that clarification helped me on some of those items. It's two separate things, kind of, there's the detached private garage and the attached private garage. So.
And that's part of the reason we tended to break it down by lot size so that we could get some additional opportunities for people that have larger buildings and that as you get more and more land. So that's why we did.
And then. The other stuff I had was the storage containers on the ground or whatever for 90 days. I mean, there's businesses that already have storage containers now. So I mean, are they gonna have to now get a permit for 90 days and then have them removed?
They would be a pre-existing non-conforming use.
And then.
But the goal would be to get rid of as many of those as we could
Right.
and not have any additional ones.
Now, what happens if somebody's like, say, they expand his building and they need a container on site for their construction, and they're gonna have to do a permit for 90 days, every 90 days to do that?
That's a code issue that
You understand what I'm saying?
Usually during construction, they're allowed.
they are allowed.
I've seen construction trailers.
But it's 90 days though for stuff, so I don't know nothing about construction, if they're doing something now, I'm just bringing it up, like it's, like what's in here. So they're building there for a year and they need a container for their stuff and they're only getting 90 days, I mean, that's not gonna be very feasible. For truck up, and maybe there's a different thing, maybe all of the guys have, I don't know, maybe there's something else on that, but it's not worded in here.
Yeah, something could be like for construction.
It's like the solar guys, those guys, if they start doing their stuff, they're gonna have something, probably container out there, keeping the stuff inside while they're doing their work for, I mean, most of the projects don't probably take a lot more than 90, maybe a little more, but.
And then one, I think that was one of my comments is how many 90-day pensions are there, and I think that was.
Aiden Gideg said too.
Yeah, so there would be a limit on, you know, they're not gonna just continue on and, you know, basically extensions.
Right. But, so I guess.
But in a construction out there,
But he's only saying two, then.
that might be something we could look at, possibly. Differentiating between a storage container product versus a construction project.
Right.
It may already be in there somewhere about that.
I thinking it is, but I'm not gonna.
Because we've had them all over the town, construction trailers, construction containers.
There was no one to do with this.
No, but
As part of the construction project.
it's part of the construction. project.
That's, I didn't.
Yeah,
Reading everything that's sent to us and just asking,
yeah.
you know, Aiden was here, he might be able to answer that.
We'll get that, but double check. Any other questions or concerns?
Maybe the other stuff is that they put in some wording for.
Yeah.
Structure names, so.
Yeah.
Pole arm is an accessory structure.
Right, we try to get definitions in there,
Everybody gets stuck on wording.
much clearer for the definition, right? So what Brian and I were talking about is, if you guys are okay with it, I would, draft a letter to the town board, basically saying we agree with the direction of the proposed local law. and then proceed with public hearings as they go forward with any changes as needed from those public hearings and or anything we may come up with in the future, so. But the key is, so everybody understands, the key is to get this thing in, get this done so the town board can approve it. So we can get this done before the moratorium ends, so we don't have to create another moratorium at the end. Or otherwise go back to where we were, so we want to get this thing taken care of sooner, and if there are additional changes that need to be made, we can do some cleanup after the fact. But this does a major cleanup of, in my opinion, of this area of the code.
Yeah, the county planning referral comments
Yes.
reference the productivity that we've experienced here in getting these changes together within the time periods provided for the
Mhm.
moratorium. We don't think that we have need to stop or doing what we're doing and writing another local law extending the moratorium
Right.
period. We have a problem. We understand what the problem is. We've got some solutions. Are they perfect? Probably not. But they are a working document.
Mhm.
And as time evolves and changes are needed, we can make them.
We certainly do that whenever it comes up, so.
Yeah.
So is everybody okay with me drafting a letter, basically using that terminology? Okay, I will do that then. Okay, next item up, annual report. How's that going, Ron?
It's going
I didn't think so. I haven't seen it, so we'll put that on the next agenda.
There you go.
Okay, open discussions, Ron.
No, we will be submitting a draft local law number 5 for amending the chapter 74 of the town code, the uniform codes provisions. Correcting things that need to be corrected in there and get that underway here coming up in September. State DOT is going to be very interested in looking very closely at this concept of cobblestone performing arts.
Yeah, I don't, they got something approved in 2014. I'm not sure that's still valid with all the personnel changes and everything else.
In 2014, we didn't know a thing about this recreational facility.
I know.
So, that's where we're at. That's all I
Okay.
have for now.
All,
We had a new code officer start this week.
Good.
At the end of the month, basically, we'll be fully staffed. Right now, just dealing with summertime vacations, so shuffling the work around and
okay. Lance.
Don't really have anything new to provide other than I mentioned before, the town was awarded a grant for their MS4 program from the state. So we are actively working with the town in providing data collection, inspections, and updating their MS4 mapping, which is their stormwater facilities mapping, their outfall mapping, et cetera, that falls under that program. And a lot of that benefit is that we're working closely with staff on getting all the approved and adopted stormwater maintenance agreements, so that the town can actively use their GIS system to click on stormwater facilities, verify the last inspections, confirm that we have easements and the stormwater maintenance agreements attached to them.
Good.
We've been doing that for years. It's just now we have the additional funds to assist in getting a lot of the older ones that we just haven't been able to keep up with. So
Make sure in PRC and stuff, you make sure Dimension understands all the requirements for all the maintenance agreements and the bonding for, to bring it back to normal conditions and everything.
Yeah, correct.
Decommissioning plan, there you go. Okay, fire,
Nothing.
conservation, public. Board have any comments? Yes.
In those, that update, Ron, the stormwater section that was being eliminated or modified?
Yeah, Schedule 3.
What exactly, I mean, I didn't.
Well, that-
That level of detail.
That was a prerequisite way back when the initial stormwater regulations came out.
Okay.
And now that the stormwater regulations have been updated and maintained, that no longer could be
Okay,
there.
so there's an old reg that needs
Yeah.
to get cleaned up
Yep.
based upon the new more restrictive ones.
Right.
Okay, with that, I'll take a motion by Adrian, seconded by Regina to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, everybody.
That guy that came